Good evening, America. We're here on the ABC Rock Radio Network, coming to you live from the Blue Rock Recording Studios in New York City for a press conference featuring Asia. With us are Carl Palmer, drummer with the band, as well as John Wetton, who plays bass and is also a vocalist. We welcome you to our press conference tonight. We have a panelist from WYSP in Philadelphia, Pam Murley, as well as Alan Sneed from WKLS in Atlanta, and also Charlie West of WRXL in Richmond, Virginia, to ask questions of the band about their new album, Alpha, and also their tour, which is going on right now. And Charlie, we'll let you ask the first question.
Okay, good evening, John.
Hello, Charlie.
Do you consider radio airplay when you're writing or producing your songs? In other words, is it calculated, or do you say this is going to get a lot of airplay because it has a certain sound, or do you just write it in any way you feel it and hope it comes out?
It's a sort of coincidence, really. We don't actually consider the fact that it's going to sound good on radio. I think that's a producer's job. The way we write songs is, for the fact that the first two songs on side one are like so different, Don't Cry and Smiles After Your Eyes, are so different, and yet they're both considered radio programmable, I would think. It's not really a consideration. It's just the way that we write happens to be right for radio.
Alan, something from you?
Yes, Carl, the first tour was phenomenally well received for a tour in support of a debut album. Do you really feel like it's a hard act to follow on the second tour?
No, I think we're more organised internally as a group now. We've had experience playing together live, so I think going out this particular year we've got more product to choose from, i.e. 2 albums, so we can build a better show musically. Apart from that, obviously we're in the position to spend a little more money on the show and put it across, in a better way from the sound point of view, lights and what have you. So I feel more comfortable actually this year than what I did last year. Last year there was just 1 album to choose from musically. This year there's 2.
What a great album it was, though, I might add. Pam?
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Pam.
John, was this album easier for you to record, just to do in general, or was it more difficult than the first one, and why did you decide to do it in Canada?
2 questions in one, yes.
One at a time.
Okay, well, yes, it was quite difficult because we had the pressure of the first one leaning over us all the time. But it was successful last year, and basically we're not new music, whatever that is. We're not new music, and we don't represent any kind of stance in the music biz. We are guys from the 60s and 70s who have put together a band. I'm sorry.
God.
Oh, 70s. I did say 70s.
I thought the face job was good. I thought the face job was... I'll get my money back.
We are
Very 80s.
known faces that have formed a new band, and we're not new music. And I think what our music tried to do is to go back, like to just make music that appeals to people between the age of 15 and 25.
Okay. And why did you record it in Canada, as opposed to in England or in the United States?
Our producers suggested the studio in Canada, and we went along with it because we have a tax problem in England. We had to get out, and so Canada sounded like a good place, and it has the same equipment identical to the place we recorded the first album.
So it felt comfortable.
Yeah, apart from the fact that I got really uncomfortable there and I had to move out to do the vocals because it was just too rustic for me. Just a little bit too in the country.
He means trees when he says that.
Yeah, trees, lakes, mountains don't make for good rock and roll songs.
So you had your vocals recorded
I did them in Toronto.
separately,
Yeah.
I see.
Yep.
Charlie?
Carl, because you've been in another band which is pretty well known, when you play with Asia coming up on the tour here, do you ever feel any obligation to do any material from the previous band, or is it all Asia stuff?
Well, we talked at the beginning of the group. We thought we'd get a policy together, and the policy would be not to play any past material. We'd like to sort of create our own music, our own style of performing, and not rely on anything from the past. And I think that's been a real good policy for us to have. If you suddenly do go into a particular song that is, important to one of us from the past, or attached to one of us, I think people might say, look, you're falling back on that. You need the support, and we wanted to take a chance from the day one. Getting together as four, completely different sort of individuals, sort of, people from different environments, trying to create a group like this is a very difficult thing to do anyway. And the fact that we've done it and we've been successful, we didn't need to do something as stupid, because that's what that is really, as adding a medley, let's say, of past material. I think maybe sort of 3-4 years down the line, if we suddenly did it then, I think we could actually get away with it.
Yeah,
We would
maybe, okay.
enjoy it,
At the time,
and
it
it
would
would
be better.
enhance what did we do live. But I think to have come out in the first year and done something like that
No,
would have been terrible.
you're wrong.
Been no image building, and it's like, though we're sort of a little older than Norm, he said, the group is it's a young group, and we wanted to keep it fresh. And playing old material is not a fresh way of going about things.
We had a hard enough time establishing Asia's persona, and to go back and do old material would have made it even more
Pointless.
difficult.
We're talking to Carl Palmer and John Wetton of Asia on the ABC Rock Radio Network. Alan Sneed from Atlanta.
Yes,
Question?
John, recording versus live performance. A major part of your recording style is the multi-layered vocals and instrumentals.
That is correct.
Do you feel it necessary to recreate this sound on stage, or is the live performance treated differently?
It is slightly different, yeah. I think the sort of excitement you get on stage with the kind of raw playing and everything is enough to cover the way that we do records. I treat making a record completely separately from doing a tour. If you don't make the right record, you don't even get to do a tour. So it's that simple, really. But you have to make the record sound as good as possible. And for me, that means overdubbing. Sometimes up to like 45 times.
Let me interject something here. When you were on tour last year and you performed Midnight Sun, which was before it was released on the new album,
Yeah.
it was longer in concert, it seemed, than the version that finally came out on
That's
the album.
right, yeah.
What was the any sort of thought process that went behind
Just
that?
a general consensus between the band that that's the way it should be.
Mhm.
You can't really record things like we did the reverse process. Normally you record a song and then you go on the road and you try and recreate it. The process in that way was we did it on stage and then we tried to recreate it on record. And we tried it a couple of different ways, and that was the best way it came out. It's a little bit shorter. It's not quite as dynamic as the way we did it on stage, but as far as the record's concerned, I think it's better.
It's an interesting contrast.
Yes. It's exactly the other way around from doing a song on record, then trying to translate that song into live. Like we extend numbers like Heat of the Moment on stage, so they're longer. They got more guitar solo. Doing it the other way around, we condensed them to get down onto record.
Pam?
John, being that each one of you have been involved with quite a few bands and in production on other records in the past, how involved is your producer right now, Mike Stone? What part does he play in the actual production of your records?
Oh, well, he plays quite a big role, actually. He's responsible for the whole thing, but he doesn't write anything. He doesn't decide the running order or anything like that. He just makes sure that we get the best sound possible on record of every sound that we put down. Apart from that, his involvement is purely professional.
Okay.
Charlie?
I'll ask you each individually, just down the road a piece, a little bit away from the tour, but what would Carl Palmer like to do with his career during not only Asia but down the road? Would you like to do some playing with your extreme percussion talents, with some jazz or some even symphonic or anything like that? Is it any other challenges out there for you?
I don't actually think I would go down a sort of a jazz path myself. I might be tempted to do something in the symphonic area, mainly because I have already recorded a concerto for percussion, which I've never released. So I would be interested in that particular area, but I mean, I have no interest at the moment, but maybe, as time goes by, it might sort of come back to do something like that. I don't think you can have many sort of interests outside of a group, to tell you the truth. It always seems to be unhealthy to me. But obviously, you're a musician, so you always have something in the back of your mind, it's just when to do it. I couldn't see that for quite a while as yet.
How about you, John?
No, I agree completely. I think that the most important thing for me at the moment is Asia, and I've got to put all my energy and time into Asia. Yeah, sure, I could write songs that could be covered outside the group, but I just don't want to do that at the moment. I would rather the group has a completely consolidated front.
We're talking to Carl Palmer and John Wetton of Asia from the Blue Rock Recording Studios on the ABC Rock Radio Network. Back to you, Alan Sneed from Atlanta, WKLS. More questions for Carl and John?
Thank you, Tom. Carl, the cut Daylight was the pre-release B-side of the new single, and the song isn't on the vinyl, but it's on the cassette. Was that an inducement to buy the cassette rather than for people to buy the album and record it? And if so, whose decision was that, the band's or the record company's?
Well, the band usually sort of makes the last decision musically, whatever it might be, you know. And when we go in to record an album, we usually have more than 10 tracks. We usually record maybe 12, 14 tracks, and we always like to have more. And in this particular case, we'd chosen the album. We got a track which we'd like to have been on the album. We thought, well, shall we do something else with it? Shall we put it somewhere else? Our decision to put it maybe on the cassette, maybe on the B-side of a single. And we did just that, and I think probably what's going to happen in the future, that the group might even have a situation where the singles do have different B-sides, and it's quite possible. I think that I think it's a healthy thing to have, you know. It's not really, if you can stop some home taping or if you can give more, it's nice. But I mean, we actually do record more music, and I know a lot of in groups that I've been in, when you've recorded stuff and left it on the shelf and said, oh yes, we'll use that later on, you never use it in 2
You
years'
never
time.
go back.
But you can actually use it at the time, and if singles are the way of doing it, or a cassette is the way of letting one escape, then fine. I think it's a real good thing to do.
Creates kind of a mystique, maybe.
Yeah, well,
a
it gives you
little
know what's
extra.
going to be on the B-side. If it's not on the album, it just gives a little more interest again. I think that's important in our case, and we can actually do that, you know, which I'm very proud of, actually, because that's quite a unique thing to have.
It has a little fun that maybe has been missing in the music business.
Yeah, I mean, we
for
could do it on the
Yeah.
second single, to tell you the truth. I
Uh-huh,
mean, there are
uh-huh.
some, you know, suggestions which have been put forward to do that, and that's encouraging. You know, if you're in a band like Asia, or you know, you're a rep or whatever, and suddenly you've got a second single, and the B-side is not on the cassette, not on the album, it's a charge, you know, and it causes interest.
We can always put out an album called Killer Bees.
It's been done now. Come on, John. Charlie, back to you.
John, before you were with Asia, were you an ELP and Yes fan at all?
I
I'll
sort of-
speak for him on that one. Yes, he was. He loved DLP. Wasn't too sure about Yes. Next question.
Yeah, I was very aware of their existence. Yeah.
That's kind of roundabout, isn't it?
Middle answer we heard.
Okay, one for John, 0 for Charlie here. Okay.
Bam, I think we have time for one more question. Let's see if we can have one for you.
Okay, Carl.
Yes.
I think that a lot of people might not know that you were in the band The Crazy World of Arthur Brown
That's
that
true.
did Fire. So, what
told you
else
this
is
face
in the
job was
closet, Carl? What other bands might you have played with that we don't know about?
Well, not really anything sort of well known before Arthur Brown. I was with a soul singer in England called Chris Farlow, who had a #1 single. It was produced by Mick Jagger. It was a Jagger Richards composition called Out of Time. It was #1 in England, but it was purely a backing band situation, you know. After that, I was straight into The Crazy World of Arthur Brown, which, you know, really didn't do that well. And they did very well here. We had a #1 album single at the same time, but the band sort of had no real credibility. It used to play to empty halls and things, which I thought was a little weird to come all this way to do that. But
we can do the same.
yes, because we've got empty places in England to play. So that was it, yeah, in general.
Well, thank you.
It's more than a pleasure.
We're here with Carl Palmer and John Wetton of Asia on the ABC Rock Radio Network. Well, gentlemen, you resume your tour here on Saturday,
Yes.
Pittsburgh,
back
yeah.
out on the road, and then you're on tour continuing until November. That seems like an awfully ambitious plan you have ahead of you. What are the thoughts as you enter this second round of
Fantastic.
getting back out there?
I mean, we're looking forward to it, aren't we? Aren't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
You did say that this morning.
Optimism.
Do you know what I mean? Can you see my lips moving?
You have to see the stone face that is going with us, right?
You've got to enjoy it to do it, right? And if you've got sort of product like we've got, you know, that we're all happy with, I think it's an enjoyable thing to do.
Yeah, it's
We take time off as well.
very enjoyable.
I can tell you that in Los Angeles, the enthusiasm that's being generated by just the anticipation of your coming through again is tremendous, and I think everyone's looking forward to another crushing tour as it goes down.
Any
We have-
tour get crushed around.
We have a few more seconds. Anyone have some final shots for the gentleman here?
Just have a good tour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
We do. We need it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. We want to thank
Pleasure.
you for being here. We want to thank Alan Sneed, Pam Murley, and Charlie West for being on our panel. Thanks to Carl Palmer and John Wetton of Asia
Thank
for
you.
being here. Also, thanks to Paul Zulo and Ted Cohen for helping us put this together. And this broadcast was produced by DIR Broadcasting for the ABC Rock Radio Network. I'm Tom Hedges from KLOS in Los Angeles. Thank you all, and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.